There's still 13 seconds to go.
Come out quickly. They actually have a chance to get Bucker in field goal range here. Chiefs, wow.
Do it, Kev.
Down the middle. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Wow. Only Mahomes gets you in an easy field goal range.
So hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime.
Alright, today I'll be talking about the fact that the Chiefs released Anthony Hitchens. There's some new developments in the Deshaun Watson case, and then of course the XFL and the NFL partnership. So, let's start off with the Anthony Hitchens news. This was kind of expected, but the Kansas City Chiefs have now released Anthony Hitchens, their veteran linebacker. He won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He was a pretty good middle linebacker for a couple years, but now it's clear that kind of his prime has passed him by, and now that the fact that the Chiefs have released him, they can get $8 million in cap. I think it'll be a lot of fun to also see Nick Bolton and Willie Gay Jr. in that linebacker spot, fulfilling his role. I think this is a great move by the Chiefs, and it was also kind of expected. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Frank Clark is the next one to go. Like I said, this saves the Chiefs $8 million in cap, which makes them the 17th best cap situation in the NFL right now, sitting at about $11 million in empty cap space. Alright, let's talk about the Brian Flores situation for a little bit. Brian Flores was recently hired as the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive assistant linebackers coach. So what this essentially means is that the guy who sued the NFL for racism is now in the NFL system as a defensive linebacker coach. I think this is a good move, honestly, by the Steelers. I mean, their defensive coordinator is now leaving. You want some new vision in Brian Flores. Pretty good idea by the Steelers. Also, he could be potentially Tomlin's successor when he eventually leaves in the next couple of years. Obviously, the Brian Flores situation is really, really crazy, and I'll probably talk about it soon. But I just thought it was pretty out of nowhere for the Steelers to hire Flores, but it's a really good idea by the Steelers, especially a team with a guy like TJ Watt, who Brian Flores can really mold. I mean, the Dolphins ran the same exact blitz against the Ravens, and they destroyed them. So I think Brian Flores is a really good coach, probably above average, and I think this can really help the Steelers, especially a few years down the line, if they want to replace Tomlin with Brian Flores. Let's talk about the XFL and the NFL's new partnership. So essentially, the XFL and the NFL have announced that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is now the owner of the XFL, will be kind of partnering up with the NFL and be almost a testing ground for new NFL rules. So if the NFL wanted to implement a new rule change or a new safety change, whether that be with players or the actual league itself, they would implement it first in the XFL to be kind of a guinea pig for the NFL. And if it works in the XFL, then the NFL will just pretty much carry it over and implement it into the NFL. It's almost like a minor league for the NFL. I think it's a really good idea personally, but this is one of the first times where you're actually going to see two football leagues like the NFL and the XFL working together. The NFL really does do this. They had NFL Europe, which crashed in 2007. So really, I mean, this is the first time in a while the NFL is really working with a almost rival football league, but now you can't really consider it a rival considering they're working together. I think it's a great idea that can offer the NFL some new insight into potential rule changes, and I'd love to see some rule changes implemented into the XFL carried over to the NFL. Alright, let's close this episode off with the Deshaun Watson development. There's been a new development in the Deshaun Watson case. A Harris County judge has ruled that Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson can be deposed in 9 of the 22 civil cases filed with allegations of sexual assault and inappropriate behavior during massage sessions. So essentially what this means is he can be tried now on 9 of the 22 civil cases. The judge also moved the court dates back to April 1st, which is essentially giving the Harris County District Attorney more time to gather more evidence to depose all of the different people involved in the 22 civil cases. And essentially on April 1st, he will be either criminally charged or only civilly charged. I think it's a pretty big break in the Deshaun Watson case. It will give some NFL teams new insight, especially because now we can look at the April 1st date of knowing when or if Deshaun Watson will return to the NFL. If he's guilty, horrible thing that he did, and he should never return to the NFL. If he's innocent, terrible thing that's happened to him. Honestly, I don't see how this works out positively for Deshaun Watson. You've got 22 separate civil cases going against you. I don't see how it works out at all. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Chiefs.